and probably this becomes the most important series we might have till we reach even Ihya, including Ihya. This becomes very important, and this first decision itself becomes very, very important. So important that I can't emphasize it enough. I just cannot. Because what we are going to discuss today and through this book, but today especially, is the root of all problems. That one problem, if we solve that, and all of our problems are solved. What a beautiful thing to know, right? If you know that one problem that is causing all this strife and trouble throughout and chaos throughout the Muslim world in particular and the world in general. If we can find and pinpoint that one thing where we went wrong, where we go wrong in our lives, and if we can point that out and try to figure that out and try to solve that, we might have done ourselves a great service. And part 2 of it is what we are going to read today, understand today. I don't know how many lectures would it take to finish all this. But one thing I can tell you, take it as a question. Take it as a question and answer thing. For what I mean by that is, today's session we're going to talk about our problem. Though we are going to read the text itself, but what the text says, I'll try to portray as if it's a question that is being asked. We would try to locate the problem which the text is going to respond to. So, instruction of a student, the method of learning. Why do I need to know this method? Because of this problem which we are going to discuss today. And that's why it goes without saying, throw every book you have in a river nearby and take this book and drink it. Read it again and again and again and again till you have guzzled every word of it, understood it and made it yours. And if you are not able to do that, and we would all be able to do that only in varying degrees, some more, some less, but our endeavor has to be that, a lifetime endeavor has to be reading this book, understanding this book. If you read, understand, and are able to make it a part of you, life is going to change forever. This book is that important. And particularly this session we are going to hold today. You would understand in due time, once we go through the book, that why reading is always not a solution. You would understand why just being at a place is much more important than all the lifetime of learning. A company, एक बुजुर्ग की कंपनी 1 घंटे की हजारों किताबों की सालों भर की कंपनी से बेहतर है. एक अच्छे इंसान की कंपनी आधे घंटे की लाइब्रेरी में उम्र बिताने से बेहतर है. The Muslims, those who were with the Prophet, they had the Quran. But guess where they used to spend most of their time? In Masjid Nabawi, around the Prophet. And these places, these people, and the Prophet said when such people sit together, angels join them. They're with them at that time. And we believe in what our Prophet said, never mind how the modern mind wants to look at these issues. But we look at these things the way he told us. This book is a classical text. It's not a modern text. It's like 800 साल पुराना text. बहुत पुराना text है. Imam Zarnuji ने लिखा है, and it has since been the standard text for traditionalist Muslim scholars. How to approach knowledge. This is the text they read. एक Muslim को ये text सिखाया जाता है. When you approach knowledge, when you start learning, this is the text you read. It delves into a lot of things, the nature and merit of knowledge, the purpose of studying, the choices of learning, and all of these things. And we'll be going in all of those things, inshallah, with time. So this book has been kind of refurbished has been reprinted. It's new English translation that comes with a preface or foreword by Hamza Yusuf. Most of you might be knowing the American scholar Hamza Yusuf. Quite respected figure, very humble figure, loved by a lot of people. And he has written its foreword. Hamza Yusuf starts with telling us Islamic community का जो root है, it's in the concept of adab. Single most important thing, adab. ये हमारा core है. This is the Kaaba around which our community revolves. This word adab. इसके अराउंड हम घूमते हैं, हमारी कम्युनिटी. ये गया, हमारी कम्युनिटी गई. Adab lost, your earth has lost its sun. Gone. And this word, this concept of adab, ये बहुत profound है, because it signifies erudition, the quality of having or showing great knowledge, the quality of having and showing great learning, the quality of having and showing great scholarship. In our tradition, we never used to measure learning through amount of information you have in your head. In our tradition, learning has always been caused by the adab you have, the level of adab you have, the level of courtesy, the level of erudition you have. आप कितने बा-अदब हैं? That would tell us how much learned you are. Because you remember the example we would always give. Donkey laden with books. Never respected that, the Muslim civilization. Because ilm for the sake of ilm was never true with us. For us, it was always a vehicle to something greater than that. And what is that? Whatever it is, its physical form is adab. In academic context, हम अदब किसको कहते हैं? हमारी कश्मीर यूनिवर्सिटी में अदब का है कोई डिपार्टमेंट? बिल्कुल है अदब का एक डिपार्टमेंट. In Jamia Millia, is there a department for adab? Yes, there is. In say VIT or whatever, in SRM, in Aligarh Muslim University, in Yale, in Oxford, is there a school for adab? Yes, there is. They call it humanities. Humanities क्या करता है? It studies the aspects of human society and culture. यही करता है ना? और इसको हमारे यहाँ क्या कहते हैं? अदब. अदब सीखना. मैं अदब की तालीम कर रहा हूँ. क्या पढ़ते हैं आप अदब में? Human society को, human culture को. It makes you culturally alive. That at least it should. Does it? I don't know. You have the answers. क्या होता है ये अदब? The idea is that the man of letters is one who puts words in their proper place. Right? हम कहते हैं ना, his language is beautiful. Oh, he writes great poetry. What is he doing? He places the right words at their right place. That's what he does. The best author does that. And this is the exact nuance of the word adab. Placing things at their proper place. That's adab. And it shouldn't surprise you. Same is the definition of justice. Justice is putting things at their proper place. In Arabic language, for example, आपने moods पढ़े होंगे school life में, modal verbs. Arabic language में imperative या command mood जो है, it's same as the mood used for requests. But okay, a lot of you might not understand that. I'll tell you what that means. Mood, grammar में जैसे आप मूड को समझते हैं, काइंड ऑफ ऐसा ही है कि जो आपने सेंटेंस बोला वो किस मूड में बोला, जैसे हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं. दैट्स एक्चुअली व्हाट अ मूड इज. It refers to certain categories of verbs which indicate what the verb expresses. Does it express, for example, it would be called indicative mood if it's indicating some fact. For example, Aziza is a girl, and the is here is a modal verb which is indicative, used as an indicative mood, so it states a fact. Similarly, be quiet, now this would be imperative mood, so there's a command in it. That's why it's also called a command mode. Now what Hamza Yusuf is saying, that in Arabic command mode where you command someone is the same as the mode used for request. So the mode used for command is the same that is used for request. So when you're requesting, you're using the same words, and when you're commanding, you're using the same word. Now this is very, very, very interesting. अगर sentences में difference नहीं है, if the words do not have any difference at all, then how does a person know whether he is being commanded or requested? Very interesting. Now, what do Arabic grammarians say about it? And how do we know whether it's a request or it's a command? Now, here comes the concept of adab. The Arab grammarians remark that the difference between the two is whether one who is using the sentence, whether the one employing the mood is over or under the one who is being talked to. कि कौन किसको बोल रहा है वो बोलेगा. The person who is saying it, the person who it is being said to, ये दोनों कौन है, ये बताएगा हमको इस sentence का mood. So same sentence becomes a command when uttered by a particular person. Same sentence becomes a request when uttered by a different person. Now what is the difference between the two persons? Position, authority. Is the person in the position of authority, then it's a command. If it's a person who is subject to authority and he uses the sentence, it's a request. What does this imply? This implies that a person has to be aware in this particular culture of his place in the hierarchy. Otherwise, these sentences would not mean anything because they would not know whether they are being commanded or requested. So a person has to know his place in a hierarchy. But unfortunately, हम उस वक्त और दौर में जी रहे हैं जहाँ पे hierarchy लफ्ज़ ही एक tabooed word है. कि कैसे बोल दिया सुल काक ने hierarchy. अभी तो शायद मैंने woman word भी use नहीं किया होगा, तो lot of people would, or many people would say, oh, he is misogynistic already because I used the word hierarchy. But then this is what it means. It assumes that you know your place with respect to the person who you are talking to or the person who has spoken it. You know your place. Is he requesting you or commanding you? The idea of one being over another in today's world, it is like an anathema. Modern इंसान को ये अजीब लगता है कि how can there be anyone above me? लेकिन कुछ साल पहले जाएंगे, this was a sign of culture. This was a sign of अच्छी upbringing. This was a sign of खानदानियत जिसको हम बोलते थे. Good etiquette. It was a sign of that thing in our past. After all, ask yourself, how can ever a pious scholar be quoted with an ignorant man? Can we do that? Are they the same, those who know and those who do not know? God says in Quran that they are not same. In fact, it's a rhetorical question. God asks, are they same, those who know and those who do not know? He doesn't answer it. He doesn't say anything after that because this is so rooted in you that you know it, that they're not same. They would never be the same. Because the answer is obvious. God doesn't bother to answer it at all. In fact, God says, and what a beautiful thing to say immediately after this ayah, He says only people with intellect receive a reminder. The people who have their hearts open, who are humble in front of God, only they understand when God says, are they the same, those who know and those who do not? They realize within this one sentence their place in the hierarchy of humans. They understand it in a second. कि मेरी हैसियत जिस ये शख्स है मेरे सामने इससे ऊपर है या नीचे है, वो इसको एक पल में समझ जाता है. उसको कोई डिस्कशन, उसको कोई डिबेट करने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती. जिसका दिल थोड़ा भी खुला होता है ना, उसको पता होता है सामने वाले की इज्जत करनी है या ये मेरी इज्जत करेगा. सामने वाले की इज्जत करनी है, सामने वाले से शफकत से पेश आना है. ये मुझसे छोटा है या मुझसे बड़ा है, उम्र में नहीं, उम्र में भी, बट उम्र में ही नहीं. अदब. हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया, I was commanded to treat people according to their stature. जो जैसा है उसको वैसे ट्रीट करना, जिस हस्ती जो है आपके सामने उस हस्ती के हिसाब से उनको ट्रीट करना। लेकिन मॉडर्न मुसलमान के सामने जब ये हदीस आता है, his heart revolts and he doesn't want to interpret it like this, though it's clear what he is saying, and any scholar of Arabic grammar and language would tell you, no, this is what it means. There is no need to do any ta'wil of it or interpret it in any other way. But then the Prophet also said people are equal like the teeth of a comb. Same hai log. The egalitarian spirit of Islam. Islam is a religion which equalizes. Islam does not believe in hierarchy. This is what is shoved down our throat every day. But it only shows बहुत कम इल्मी, बहुत कम इल्म दिखाता है ये. In the light of law, in the light of the sacred law, in front of God, we all have equal chance. But in our accomplishments, in our divine success, what we call tawfiq, we are not the same and we know it. हम सबको एक जैसा तौफीक नहीं मिला है, नहीं मिला है हमको. We know it. It dawns upon us so clearly, like day dawns upon us. So clearly हमको पता होती है कि मैं कितना पानी में हूँ. We know it always. No one ever has to describe it to you. आप अपने गिरेबान में देखते हैं, आपको खुद पता चल जाती है कि मैं कितना अच्छा इंसान हूँ, मैं कितना बुरा हूँ. आपको ये पता चल जाती है. You know your secrets. You know it. It's very difficult to lie to oneself. So we do differ. We know it. There are good people out there. There are people जिनके एक दामन पे नमाज पढ़ सकता है. There are such wonderful people out there. And should such differences ever ease, our very existence is endangered. The Prophet told this ummah, and notice this warning also. Though it's not a statement of warning, but there is a hidden connotation of a grave warning in this statement from the Prophet. He said, you will continue to be healthy as a society. In other words, that you will continue to prosper, because when you are healthy, you prosper. When you are in health, you work, you prosper. So the Prophet said, you will continue to be healthy, you will continue to prosper as long as you have degrees of excellence. जब आपके अंदर कुछ लोग ऐसे होंगे जो बहुत अच्छे होंगे, then उनसे next जब ऐसे होगी आपकी society. The Prophet said, but should you all become the same, you will be destroyed. तबाह हो जाओगे, बर्बाद हो जाओगे, खत्म हो जाओगे जब सब एक ही जैसे होंगे. जब सब एक होंगे तब सब बर्बाद ही होंगे. ये बहुत profound saying है, and we are going to concentrate on it for the next half an hour, 45 minutes. ये हदीस हमको indirectly एक प्रॉब्लम की तरफ दिखाता है, इशारा. This hadith hints towards a problem, the problem of leveling in our society. The leveling of accomplishments. तो क्या किया इसने, कौन सी बड़ी बात है, हमारे अंदर की फीलिंग है. So what? उसने ये अचीव किया, so what? Leveling of knowledge, leveling of talent. And this leveling, this by its very nature is a sign that आपकी सोसाइटी से एक्सीलेंस को धीरे धीरे रिमूव किया जा रहा है. और ये है हमारी एज. This is the age we are living in, the age of nihilistic leveling. Nihilistic leveling, the extreme view that there is no justification for values, and in particular moral values. There is this refusal to accept that something is preferred over something else. If no values are preferred, obviously other worldly values would never be preferred. The necessary conclusion is that every position is fine, hence leveling for all. Whatever you are. You are this great professor in a university, or you are this great social worker, and you are in a porn movie. You're the same, you're the stars. You're a star in our society. You're great people. You chose what you liked. You did a wonderful job. You're a great man. More power to you. This leveling of everyone to one position. Excellence is removed from our schools by dumbing down the students. They're made dumb. And how are they down? By leveling everyone in the classroom to the same level. And leveling them toward functional illiterates. Excellence is removed from our politics. How? Why? Because those we choose to lead us, they are mainly those who covet it. Not those who are morally, intellectually, spiritually qualified for that office. We know it. All of us know it. All of us know it. There is no debate on it. All of us know it, whichever country we are coming from, whichever place we are coming from. And I'm very proud that our room is a multicultural room. People from different countries, different states in India attend this room. And look at the leaders you have immediately above you. They are the ones who covered those positions, not those who are morally, intellectually, and spiritually qualified for the office. And at the root of Islamic tradition is something opposite to it, Adab. And at the root of Adab is knowledge acquired painstakingly at the hands of those who know. God commanded us in Quran that if you do not know, ask people who know. ये जो हमारी अभी की कंडीशन है जिसमें हम खुद को देखते हैं इस वक्त, इसको अगर हम डाउन करें एक सिंगल प्रॉब्लम पे, what is that one problem? We can call that problem loss of adab, loss of discipline. The discipline on every front, the discipline of body, the discipline of mind, the discipline of soul. ये डिसिप्लिन जो अश्योर करता था कि हम रिकॉग्नाइज कर पाए, एक्नॉलेज कर पाए अपनी प्लेस को, कि हम कहाँ पे खड़े हैं, our proper place in relation to one's own self, our proper place with respect to our society, हमारी कम्युनिटी के में हम कहाँ पे हैं, अपने उम्र के हिसाब से, अपने इल्म के हिसाब से, हर किसी चीज़ के हिसाब से. The recognition and acknowledgement of one's proper place in relation to one's physical, intellectual and spiritual capacities. अपना potential जानना. The recognition and acknowledgement of the fact that knowledge and being, humans, they are ordered hierarchically. अदब क्या है? अदब है ये recognize करना, acknowledge करना, अपना हक, अपनी प्रॉपर प्लेस, दोनों चीज़ें रिकॉग्नाइज करना, अपना रुतबा रिकॉग्नाइज करना, दूसरों का रुतबा रिकॉग्नाइज करना, अपनी कंडीशन रिकॉग्नाइज करना, खुद को डिसिप्लिन करना, इन पॉजिटिव एंड विलिंग पार्टिसिपेशन इन एनेक्टिंग वन्स रोल इन अकॉर्डेंस विद दैट रिकॉग्निशन. अदब है जो आपने रिकॉग्नाइज किया, अपनी हस्ती को रिकॉग्नाइज किया, उस हस्ती के हिसाब से काम करना. और जब ये होगा किसी सोसाइटी में, जब ये किसी फर्द के अंदर होगा, किसी सोसाइटी के अंदर होगा, दैट रिफ्लेक्ट्स द कंडीशन ऑफ जस्टिस. जस्टिस इज हैपनिंग इन दैट सोसाइटी, इन दैट पर्सन. एंड इसका ऑपोजिट, लॉस ऑफ अदब. लॉस ऑफ अदब implies loss of justice, injustice. And this is caused, and it causes confusion in knowledge, which most of us have. कितने सवाल लेकर आते हैं बच्चे, कितने सवाल लेकर आते हैं बच्चे. Everyone of us, so many questions inside our minds. What has caused that? Have we all of a sudden become more intelligent than humans ever were? There's so much confusion of knowledge, so much of it out there. और हमारी सोसाइटी, हमारी कम्युनिटी में जब एक confusion of knowledge होता है, and in particular of religion, of the worldview which Islam wants to create, what does it do? It enables false people, false leaders, false speakers, false scholars to emerge and to thrive. And once such people, they emerge, they thrive, they cause the condition to perpetuate this condition of injustice. They perpetuate this condition, knowingly or unknowingly. Why? Because it ensures the continued emergence of these people, because they would lose relevance in the eyes of masses. They will lose it in a day. Come on, कोई नहीं पूछने वाला. इज्जत दिल से होती है. दिल को बंद कर दो, आपकी इज्जत होगी. They will talk about everything but etiquette. Everything but etiquette. It ensures that their ilk is successful, that this chain never goes away. Emergence of leaders like them to replace them. And these leaders are not just political leaders. These are people in all kind of authority. Speaking in universities, colleges, social media, clubhouse, everywhere. Because if you inculcate in them this habit of adab, they're going to seek people of great spirituality. They're going to seek people of adab. And it's very difficult for a person who is not rooted in adab to go back on that track, to hide what you are actually. It's very difficult. And this perpetuates their dominance over the affairs of the community. Your community is represented by these people. So this confusion and error in knowledge, it creates a condition rife for loss of adab within the community. And both of these two things together, this leads to the rise of leaders who are neither qualified nor are they justified to hold the position of leadership of the Muslim community in any form whatsoever. They do not possess high moral or intellectual or spiritual standards which are required for Islamic leadership, who perpetuate this condition of confusion and error in knowledge. And their presence at such position, it perpetuates this condition of confusion and error. And you find leaders like them, they dominate all the fields of life. Wherever you go, they are there. They're there. And this is a vicious circle, very difficult to come out of, because confusion and error in knowledge creates condition for loss of adab. Loss of adab creates a condition for confusion and error in knowledge. But if we have to point out between the two, the chief cause, let's talk about confusion and error in knowledge for a while, because that's what we are going to address in coming sessions as well. How do you break this vicious cycle? How do you remedy this grave problem? We must first come to grips with the problem of loss of adab. कोई ilm possible नहीं है. No true knowledge is possible. It can never go down your throat. It can never enter your heart without the precondition of adab. The one who is seeking knowledge, to whom knowledge is being imparted, he's not going to learn a single word if he does not have adab. I'll give you an example from Quran. God talks about these beadab people during the life of Prophet, and they would call the Prophet with his name, and they would in fact sometimes call him from outside the masjid. And all of you understand that this is grave beadbi. And they would call themselves mu'min, and God addresses in the Quran and tells them, do not call yourself mu'min, because Iman is yet to enter your hearts. Call yourself Muslim. Call yourself Muslim. Now you should understand that Iman, this statement from Quran tells us that Iman is a much more subtler and higher level than Islam. Muslim, and Mu'min. Mu'min is a higher level. And what is the defining factor as per this ayah? I know the hadith of Gabriel, we know the details of Iman and Islam, but according to this ayah, the subtle difference is Adab. These people had done Be'adbi, but that prompted this ayah. In fact, to cite an example in front of you, God Himself commands that when you approach Quran, you should be in ritual purity. What does that mean? That you cannot even touch Kalamullah except through prescribed adab of ritual purity. In fact, puri ibadat hi yahi hai. In its entirety, it is nothing but expression of adab towards Allah Ta'ala. That's what it is. Entire ibadah we do. And that's why knowledge must be approached with great humility, with reverence. इज्जत है इसकी कोई. इल्म इसलिए नहीं हासिल करना just because it is there. जो हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग हम इसको इसीलिए करते हैं. Because the modern society demands exactly that. It cannot be possessed simply as if it were there available for everyone, irrespective of intention, irrespective of purpose, irrespective of capacity. Okay, I'm going to read Kashaf today by Zamakshari. I'm going to take Quran and I'm going to understand it. और दीन के मामले में इन पर्टिकुलर यहाँ पे तो वर्ल्ड व्यू जो है, जो इल्म है, ये रूटेड है अथॉरिटी में. इस दीन को मानने वालों का ये मानना है कि अल्लाह ताला ने इसको, He says in Quran that today I have perfected your religion and chosen it for you. Now, if this perfection was there from the very beginning, then you can understand that certain evolutions would not be allowed in it, would not even be possible in it. Then you can understand that there can be no relativism in Islam. There can be no relativism in the historical interpretation of Islam. There can be no relativism in the tradition of Islam. It's either wrong or it's right. It's true or false. And truth here means conformity with it, and false means anything contrary to it. And if there is any confusion in this, if there is confusion about such truth, that simply means ignorance of it. And your ignorance of it does not mean there is inherent vagueness or ambiguity in it. No. It doesn't say that at all. It's a reflection of your state, my state. Islam में interpretation और इल्म को फैलाना, Islamic worldview, ये सारी चीज़ें they are accomplished by what? By authority. In fact, the concept of degrees जो है, जब आप यूनिवर्सिटी पास करते हैं फिर आपको डिग्री सर्टिफिकेट मिलता है. This degree is being awarded to Sajid in completion of his bachelor's in technology from so and so university on this date, and first division. That certificate, ijaza, that authority you're being given. In fact, that concept comes from the very concept of ijaza in Islam, because we give the first degrees, we give the first ijaza, that okay, you have the ijaza to do it now. And that's where you get this concept of degree from. So our religion is rooted in authority, and legitimate authority recognizes and acknowledges a hierarchy. That every one of us is in a hierarchy. In a small room where there are two of us, when we offer namaz, both of us do not lead. One of us leads. और दूसरा मुक्तदी बनता है. सिर्फ जब दो होते हैं हम तब भी. जब तीन होते हैं तो क्लियर ही होता है. अगर हम दो सेम दोस्त हैं, एक ही टिफिन में से खाना खाते हैं, एक ही क्लास में पढ़ते हैं, एवरीथिंग वी डू टुगेदर, जब अल्लाह ताला के सामने जाते हैं, एक इमाम होता है, दूसरा मुक्तदी होता है. And who is it that leads? Something inside us tells us who should lead. Something inside us, every time we go in front of Allah, something inside us tells us who should lead. खुद से कर देते हैं. And we recognize these hierarchies, and we recognize that this hierarchy ends with whom? Huzur Pak ke saath, final, culminates in him. It becomes incumbent upon us to have a proper attitude towards legitimate authority. And what is that attitude? It's an attitude of reverence. It's an attitude of love. It's an attitude of respect, of humility. A trust in your teacher, in the veracity of the knowledge as interpreted and clarified by him who is there. And your heart would be a witness to his authority. ये जो ये रेवरेंस है, ये इश्क है, ये रेस्पेक्ट है, ये ह्यूमिलिटी जो है, ये जो ट्रस्ट है उसके इल्म पे, this can only be realized in one when one recognizes and acknowledges the fact that there is hierarchy. जब आप इसी फैक्ट को नहीं मान पाओगे, जब आपके दिल में दाखिल नहीं होगा, आप ये भी नोटिस नहीं कर पाओगे कि कौन है वो, who I should show reverence, love, respect and humility to, who should I trust. You would never be able to tell that because you are not able to accept hierarchy. Human ऑर्डर जो सोसाइटी में है, इस हायरार्की का मतलब उन हायरार्कीज की बात नहीं हो रही है जिनमें ऑपरेशन है, जिनमें एक्सप्लॉयटेशन है, जिनमें डोमिनेशन है. ये हम उन हायरार्कीज की बात नहीं करते. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट सच थिंग्स. वी आर नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट इनलेजिटिमेट थिंग्स लेजिटिमाइज्ड इन द नेम ऑफ अल्लाह. We are not talking about those hierarchies. We are talking about legitimate hierarchies जो हम हमेशा अपनी ज़िंदगी में अपनाते हैं. Any kind of hierarchy, any kind of order is not necessarily legitimate. In fact, such a hierarchy, such an order is illegitimate. It's disorder. It cannot be called order. In fact, it's not adab. It's beadbi. Adab is not you resign yourself to disorder. That's injustice. Talking about something greater than that. Disorder, it's a manifestation of injustice. Human history में disorders, hierarchies have prevailed, जो हमको आजकल थोपा जाता है हमारे ऊपर कि this is what hierarchy is. True, lot many places things have been misused. Hierarchies have been imposed which are not just. That does not mean that hierarchy in human order is not valid in itself. Because the truth is, the point of fact is, legitimate hierarchy in the order of creation exists. A divine order pervading all creation exists. God is just. He fashions and deploys all creation in justice. And in general, humans are able to recognize and acknowledge this order. ये अल्लाह ताला ने ये आंखें हम सबको दी हैं. हुजूर पाक का स्टेशन हम सब देख पाते हैं, पैगंबरों का स्टेशन हम देख पाते हैं. The men of piety, the people of spiritual discernment, the wise, the knowledgeable. And God gave it to them so that they would in turn convey it to the rest of us. And we ought to confirm with what they are saying. And through that, we would be able to confirm our individual personalities through it and our society. And when this confirmation takes place in an individual and in the society, that's occurrence of adab in the society. And the resulting condition of such an occurrence is justice. ह्यूमन सोसाइटी नेसेसरली सेम इक्वल एलिमेंट्स की बनी होती है, ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है. मिनरल और प्लांट सेम नहीं है, मिट्टी और गुलाब का फूल सेम नहीं है, प्लांट्स और एनिमल्स सेम नहीं है. वी डिसर्न हायरार्कीज फ्रॉम द लोवेस्ट टू हाईएस्ट. हम जब किंगडम्स की क्लासिफिकेशन करते हैं उसको हायरार्की में डालते हैं. इवन अमंग एंजल्स Allah Ta'ala has created hierarchies. क्या हम नहीं यकीन रखते कि मुकर्रबून हैं जो अल्लाह ताला के अर्श के साथ है, द हाईएस्ट लेवल, नियरेस्ट टू गॉड। क्या हम ये नहीं जानते कि जन्नत और दोज़ख दोनों में लेवल्स है? क्या हम ये नहीं जानते कि इंसानों को अलग अलग जन्नतें मिलेंगी? एक इंडिविजुअल में ये जो कंफ्यूजन है इल्म का, एंड मोर सो इस्लाम एंड इस्लामिक वर्ल्ड व्यू का, ये उसके अंदर एक आग लगा देता है, एक जाहिली आग इंडिविजुअलिज्म की। वो सोचने लगता है कि वो बराबर है उनके जो असलियत में उससे ऊपर है। He is equal to those who are actually superior to him. And he breeds and cultivates this arrogance inside him, this obstinacy. And he tends to reject authority all in the name of egalitarianism. While the truth is, he isn't doing it for the sake of egalitarianism. There is that seed, that small little seed inside him of arrogance. He thinks he knows, while in reality he does not. He thinks he knows his place in the relation to himself and to other people, while the truth is he does not. In fact, he inclines towards envy. He is envious towards people's positions, the respect they earn. He is envious to it. And in that condition, he allows his passions to hold sway over his actions and decisions in his life. Allah Ta'ala कहते हैं कि he does not burden a soul more than what it can bear, but because of this leveling, this jahili streak inside us, because we think of us to be superior than what we really are, we forget what God has said, that we do not burden a soul more than what it can bear. That means even souls are not equal in capacity. But Nike tells us, just do it. You're all equal. Just do it. The individual then, instigated by his own arrogant ambitions, his own disposition, he does not hesitate to wrongly burden his soul with everything, taking upon himself but trust, a responsibility to understand what the biggest and the best have not been able to decipher. They take over these responsibilities, political, social, cultural, intellectual, religious, spiritual, and whatnot. He takes these responsibilities which in reality he does not have the capacity to adequately fulfill. तो जब ऐसे लोग हमारी सोसाइटी में इंक्रीज होते हैं और जो ऐसे लोग को अपना रिप्रेजेंटेटिव समझते हैं और जो खुद को रिप्रेजेंटेटिव समझते हैं, they become leaders. They become those leaders who we understand within our heart, false leaders. और वो अपने जैसे मेरिट को कंसोलिडेट करते हैं हर स्फीयर ऑफ लाइफ में, हर स्फीयर ऑफ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी में, social, political, cultural, intellectual, religious, spiritual, wherever they are, they strengthen themselves. The resulting condition of all this is a condition of loss of adab. And this reflects the injustice that prevails, and this reflects the continued corruption of knowledge in our societies. अब ऐसा हो सकता है कि जब आप खुद से सवाल पूछेंगे, when reminded of this false character of those who we entrust the responsibility to lead us. वो कहते हैं ना हिंदुस्तान में, if not Modi then whom? हमारे यहाँ ये सवाल नहीं पूछा जाता if not Modi then whom. हमारे यहाँ सवाल पूछते कैसे जानेंगे सुल काक, बड़ी बड़ी बातें बोलते हो, कैसे पहचानेंगे कि कौन है, कैसा है? How do we distinguish the truthful ones from the false ones? How do we ensure that if we cannot understand who is the truthful one, who is the false one, क्या हम उनको उनकी rightful places पे रखें? How do we ensure then the deliverance from this tyranny, this misguidance of false leaders? And this question, you might be thinking I'll be going to answer it. No. This question is the proof of what I have been saying. This very question, in fact, demonstrates clearly the confusion that has already taken hold of our minds. हम ये भी अब नहीं देख पाते सही क्या है गलत क्या है. मुसलमान कौम जब एज ए होल इग्नोरेंस में मुब्तला होगी, तो ये सवाल सिर्फ तब पूछा जा सकता है. अल्लाह ताला फरमाते हैं ट्रुथ इज क्लियर फ्रॉम एरर, एंड वी आर सेइंग ट्रुथ इज नॉट क्लियर फ्रॉम एरर. नहीं समझ आता सही कौन है गलत कौन है. Only when Muslims are immersed in this ignorance can such questions be raised. Allah Ta'ala कहते हैं render your trusts back to whom they are due. इस statement में it's implicit that we ought already know कि who do we have to give our trusts to. We should already be knowing the difference between truth and falsehood. We already know who stand for the truth and who stand for the falsehood. We should be able to decipher between right and wrong, at least in the matter of entrusting the responsibility of right leadership. Otherwise, God would not have commanded this. The fact that we now raise the question means we have lost the capacity for discernment, जो हमको true और false में distinguish करने में मदद करती. And in such a state, we must realize that the answer to it will not be understood by any one of us unless we gain that knowledge in a state of adab. ये सवाल अगर हम पूछ रहे हैं, ये यही चीज साबित करता है कि हमें इसका जवाब नहीं समझ आएगा, क्योंकि it is the very faculty through which we learn. And if we do not have that faculty, we are not going to have, we will never be able to understand the answer. So the very thing, if you want to understand it, it will not be understood unless you regain that understanding, that knowledge through adab.